And welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets, the show where the strange, the unexplained, and the weird take center stage, and where the people behind the encounters matter just as much as the encounters themselves. We're not just here to talk about what was seen, we're here to understand who saw it, how it changed them, and why it still matters. Before we get started, quick shout out to our supporters over on Patreon. If you'd like to help keep the show independent, ad-free, and unapologetically weird, head on over to our Patreon. You'll find members episodes, early access to all the public episodes, and bonus material you won't see or hear anywhere else. If you've had an encounter or something strange that you've just never been able to explain, I want to hear from you. Email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. That's mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Your experience could be featured on a future episode. If you haven't yet, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're following me on all your favorite podcast platforms. Give this episode a like, leave a comment, leave us a review. That'll help us with the algorithm, and that's the best way to grow the show. Make sure you check the descriptions on all my episodes. Down below, you're going to find a list of all my favorite podcasts, from Nevermore Hollows, Drunken Cryptids, Chumming with the Spirits, Ghost Gossip, and so much more. While you're over there listening to their shows, leave them a comment and tell them John sent you. And with that, let's start the show. Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methencamp. On tonight's show, we have a woman that I met at Beachfoot last year and kind of hit it off a little bit. And she reached out to me and said she had some stories to tell. So, Kathi, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess as far as it pertains to the Bigfoot Sasquatch world, I knew nothing about them. Never heard of Bob or the Patty film or any of that. And so I was well into my 40s, and we lived in, I'm just going to say states, because I don't want to give up my areas. But so, we all saw Harry and the Hendersons. That was a cute movie, but it was a movie, right? So I never put much stock into it. And so my first experience with this species of life was all off from left field. It was hard to explain. So when I first started, I went out to this area. I'd been living there for 3 years and never had anything weird happen. And I went out this one day, and I went to set my bag down in this certain spot. And you know that feeling of being watched that's so extreme. And I had never felt that before, that deep. And I knew something was standing behind me. And so I turned around and there was nothing there. And I'm looking, scouting the 360 degrees. And I see nobody and nothing, but this feeling wouldn't go away. I decided, well, I'm going to walk over this little hillock over here. We're kind of in the forest where it meets the sand dunes. And so I figured I'd walk over here and around this corner and, maybe it'd be gone. And I did that. And I was about to walk in between these two trees. The trail ran right in the middle of these two standing trees. And I noticed a gall on this branch. You know what that is? A bark ball. And I clock it in my head. I go, oh, there's a gall. I love those. And then as I went to continue walking, my body just stopped. It wouldn't go forward. And right here in the back of your head is kind of where I put the voice. So this male voice, hang on, my earbud's falling out, tells me, you cannot walk through here. That's a bee's nest. It will sting you. I hear this voice. I go, and I'm a debater. I'm not going to say an arguer, but I stand my ground. And so I say, that's a bark ball. It ain't going to sting me. And this voice comes back and it's arguing with me that it wants me to see this as a bee's nest, I guess, because I keep getting this same, that is a bee's nest. It will sting you. And I'm all, no, it won't. It's a bark ball. It ain't going to sting me. And so after a few minutes of arguing with this voice, and I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I just wanted to state my case. That is a bark ball. It's not a bee's nest. I realized I'm now walking back in the direction I just came from, but I never told myself to walk. And so I go, well, okay, strange things have happened all my life, whatever. And I continue back out the way I came. To get in here, I had to crawl over this big tree that had fallen. Right before I went to crawl over the tree, I looked off to my left and I noticed there was a trail running in between these two sand mounds that had that beach grass growing up on them. One side was perfectly flat and the other one still had the grass growing up straight. So I go, well, wait, I want to think about this. And I told myself I'll go sit on the mound that has the flattened grass because beach grass is very sharp and pokey. So I sat down there, and as I went to put my bag down, because I always have my bag with my book and everything in it, I noticed these lines in the sand between these two mounds. And as I'm looking down, thinking snake trails. And I don't like snakes, so I wanted to follow the trail and see where the snake went. I realized, well, there's 4 of them, and they end in a berm. They don't continue forward. Weird. So I sit back up and I'm looking at it. Dude, there was a handprint in the
Really?
sand. Huge handprint. And so me being me, I'm like, I want to meet the man that left that handprint. This print was huge. And I sat analyzing it for hours, and I walked over and looked on the other mound that was there with the grass growing in it and noticed this hole that hadn't been dug like a coyote digs and they'll throw the dirt behind them. The dirt was picked up and placed next to the hole. So I'm like, well, what is happening out here? Weird. So I got this big, huge handprint, and I got this big, huge hole, which isn't really leading anywhere. And I realized, it was about that I'd spent so much time out there, I needed to get back home. And, my husband was coming home from work. And when I got home, I said, hey, I want you to come with me and look at this handprint. And so he comes back out there with me, and I go, what man can have a hand that big? Because I put my hand in it, nothing. He put his hand in it, and nothing. And he says, well, let's get some. He's a contractor, so he had loctite. Let's go get some of this. I think it's loctite. It's a powder, and we mixed it up just like you would anything else and poured it in the cast. And while we were standing there waiting for it to harden, he goes, you know what that is, right? And I go, a hand? I don't know, because, you can see the thumb sticking out to the side. It's a hand. And he tells me it's Bigfoot. I go, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he goes, like Harry and the Hendersons. And I go, dude, it's a movie. So he proceeds to tell me that while we were here in Coos County years ago, we logged. And I had weird things happen out there, but I didn't think anything of Bigfoot. What the heck, right? You just go, okay, whatever, and you move on. And he had told me he had actually had a sighting there in this canyon that we were salvage logging. And so he proceeds to tell me this is Bigfoot. Anyway, on that day, I'm like, you're just crazy. I thought he was messing with my head. But we did it. And then he was going to play at a bar that night. So he goes, we're going to have to pick this up tomorrow. Let it dry. We'll pick it up tomorrow. And we went back to the house. And I sat there for about an hour, and rain clouds started coming in. I said, no, I want this. I'm going to go get it. And it was right at dusk. But I didn't know nothing then. So I go back out to this area as it's starting to get darker. And I had taken a spatula because I didn't know what else to use to dig it up out of the ground. So I'm out there around this thing, and we didn't realize when we had poured this stuff in there, it had adhered to some of the grasses that were growing along the side of these little hills. And so I'm digging it out with this spatula, and there's this big tree behind me right in this one point in this place. It ends up behind me, and the branches go all the way to the ground. So you can't see through the tree. It's not a tall one with the branches. Well, as I'm digging this cast out, I start getting feelings that I say were not mine. I was excited. Oh, I got this. I want to see what this is. It's something new. Well, so I start feeling this feeling of, like a concern, like, you know what I mean? And I'm all, well, I don't know what that is, but whatever. So I turn my back to this tree. Now I've come around the side of this huge hand, and I hear a and I go, oh, what the bloody hell? What is happening? And then this intense feeling of not anger and not concern, something in the middle of those two. And that voice came back and he goes, I cannot let you have that. It is not yours. Oh, now I'm digging faster. Oh, and then no one can know us. Oh, now I'm getting scared. I'm getting freaked out, right? And I go, oh, no. And I'm saying in my head, oh, no, I just want to know it for me. I'll never show it to anybody. And I haven't. I'll never show it to anybody. I swear it's just for me. And about this time, I've got it's out of the ground and I'm trying to shove it in my bag and I'm ripping the handle because I'm just shoving it in here. And it says, I cannot let you take that. Oh, freaked me out. So instead of being respectful and dropping it, I grab it and I go. And as I'm climbing over this big tree that I had to climb over, I hear these 3 steps come out behind me. And I thought, oh my God, this thing's going to grab me and kill me for taking something that is not mine. But I don't let that bugger me. And I keep going. And all the way out, this, I say male based on the voice, it's weird. It's hard to describe to people. So I'm saying it's only for me. I swear I'll never show it to anybody. I'll never tell anybody where you are. Just don't kill me, right? And what I hear made so much sense because it said, let's see, it was above and beyond that, do not take that. It does not belong to you. We do not want anyone to know us. That is a part of me. Oh, that kind of gets to you. Do you know what I mean? If you had the upbringing I did, where if it's not yours, you do not touch it. I thought, what am I doing? So, but at that time, I had drove out here at this point because I didn't want to walk out there in the dark. And at about that time, I come off the trail, slapping the side of my Jimmy, and I jump in the driver's seat and I take off and I go home. And everything that it said to me was just reverberating through my head. And I'm like, wow, what did I just do? And honestly, the bed in our bedroom was surrounded by windows. So my husband wasn't home and I just laid in the hallway because I didn't want it to come and get me. I was so dumb. It was so dumb. I was so scared though. I thought it was going to be like that story you hear as a kid, when they take something and then the little witch comes and takes it back. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to come and take it away from me. Obviously nothing did. And, I still have that and I have never shown it to anybody. And so a couple of days later, I thought, I want to go back out there and I want to see what it could possibly have been. I want to verify that was not a bee's nest, blah, blah, blah. So I went back out there and the way I went in this time, I scouted in a different way. And I ended up at that trail where the trees were, and I look up and I go, it's a bark ball, knew it. So this time that I continued along this trail, and it was a game trail, and it circled around those trees and it goes around, and I didn't realize it was the same big tree with the leaves going down to the ground. But okay, this is hard too. So I circle around and following this game trail, and it leads up straight to this tree. And I go, well, that's odd. Somehow they have to be able to get in here. So I put my hand forward and I was going to knock the branch out of the way. And check this out. As soon as I touched the branch, it went inward like a door. And I go, whoa. So as I did that, and it swings in and then it swings back, and I was just going, whoa, whatever. You know what I mean? So I do it again, but this time I entered into the tree. And it was actually 2 huge trees growing together. Some trees will grow real close and then they kind of separate at the top. And I look up and the branches are way on the inside of the tree. The branches were cleared to about 9 feet. I'm 5'4", so I'm looking up going, awesome. Yet all these still hid. It was the walls. It was like when you build a shelter in the woods, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is awesome. So I go in and I notice it's all cleared off. underneath. There's not a lot of duff under there. So I'm like, this is where I'm going to start hanging out. This place is awesome. Well, I go to walk around because these are big trees. And as I walked around them, it's still an opening, but it sees. It makes a C. So as I walked around the tree, I notice, okay, what I left out, these are big cedar trees. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I left that part out. Well, as I walked around that C, I noticed there's this big, huge fir branch laid against one wall I call them, of this tree, the outside of the tree. And there's two white bulbs laying there. And they're clean. And they have no roots on them. And they have no vegetation. They're just two white bulbs on a fir branch, huge branch, under two cedar trees. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is wicked. Cool. And the funny thing is I had my camera on me and I never once thought to take a picture of these. What I did think to do is I want to take one of these tubers home and identify it. I didn't know what they were. So I kneel down in front of this bed. It's what I would do in the woods, bring in a big fir out. There you go. And as I lean forward to pick up one of the bulbs, here it comes again from this side. Those are not yours. Do not take them. They do not belong to you. In that kind of clipped voice, in English in my head, they do not belong to you. I thought, oh, dude, you're right. There again, straight to my upbringing. If it's not yours, don't touch it. And I go, okay, busted. You got me. And I stood up and I go, okay, I got to get out of here. And just then the wind whistled enough over here that I noticed there's an exit on this side also. So I exited on the opposite side and found out I'm right in front of these two sand mounds. And I go,
where you were the day before.
That's where you were. You were in here watching me steal your stuff. And I came back to steal more stuff. So I'm like, I felt so chastised.
That's why Sasquatch doesn't trust people.
Well, here's me. I don't even steal from people. I'll take it from you. I don't know. So I felt real chastised over that one. And then I started obviously looking at the maps around me and, what's out here? Where can they live? They can't live here because it's a tourist area. And this place is millions of people in the summer. This is obviously in the fall. Well, so I started scouting the area and drove all kinds of back roads and found prints. I found piles of clamshells at the top of a mountain. I was finding weird things that just didn't seem to belong, but nothing to me concrete. You got to understand, I didn't believe these things existed. So I didn't know what I was looking for. I'm just looking. Well, so we'll leave all that behind because that was a lot of months of driving around. And then one day, as I'm talking to people, I did find an area behind the cemetery that I worked for a while. I say worked, I enjoyed. And some weird shit happened in there too. So I was, I'm like, okay, well, if you're here on the dunes and you're here at the cemetery, this can't be where you live though. Well, so driving around one point, man, we stopped to look at this elk. There was a big elk herd in this meadow, this field. And my husband pulled his camera out, his video camera, and he was filming the elk herd. So we get home, we put it on the big screen, and my God, there's a Squatch who walks in from the right-hand side. He follows the tree line, and he comes around, and there's a sign way out there. Can't tell you what it said. I just know there's a post with a sign. And he skirts around, and he gets to that, and he hunkers down behind this post, and he's watching the elk. Well, then the right side of the field, or the left side of the field, because he's coming in on this side, you see one coming in along the tree line. And I'm like, dude, they were there. So this is private property. I can't tell you more than that. Everybody will know where I am. This is private property, and I can't go on it legally. So I'm looking for a back way into this place on the maps. And that's how I found the cemetery. I can hike through the cemetery across only 2 ridge lines and be there. I can do that. I could then. I'm a lot older now. So I'd start going out alone, and I based myself at the cemetery, and I just kept walking farther and farther um, from this ridge line. No, okay, I'll go in on this one. And we found, I found another bed at the edge of the marsh. And this one, where they laid out this huge branch, but the edges still went up. So it kind of formed a bowl, except where the
Yeah.
branch came in. I call it the bottom of the bed where the branch came in. Um, and you could see the imprint of something laying in there.
Wow.
And I'm like, doesn't look like bear to me. How about you? I asked my ex, and he says, no, doesn't look like bear to me. He didn't want to believe in any of this. Let's keep this in mind, okay? He's the one who brought it up in the first place. But then we started finding things, and he got a little scared one day. He didn't want to go no more. So we were sitting, we had hiked the marsh after winter. In summer, the water dries up in this one certain area. And I knew they were there because that's what led to that field. And we followed prints all the way to that field. Finally, so we were coming back in, and we stopped to smoke a cigarette. We're smokers. And we stopped, and I'm facing one direction and he's facing the other. And as I'm looking at him, he's talking, and I'm not paying attention because that's just how it goes sometimes. And he's talking, and all of a sudden I realized he's not talking anymore. So I look at him, and oh my gosh, this was weird. I could see the color leaving his face,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'd never seen that before. That was kind of awesome. So I'm watching him get whiter and whiter. And at this point, he's just staring behind me. And I don't know why I didn't say, what are you looking at? Because I was just mesmerized by what was happening to him. And he starts stammering, we gotta go right now, gotta go. You know what I mean? Gotta go. He wants to go. He's gotta go now. And I go, well, what the heck? And I stand up and I turn around real fast. And where he's looking off into this little swampland, there's a copse of trees out there. Okay. And you can't really see it's so shady. And it was such a sunny day. I'm trying to look into this copse of trees. And as I look, I see this tall, hairy, black dude steps back into that darkness. So where I couldn't see. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, when you're looking into something, there's light a little ways, but then it gets darker and darker. And so I see this thing moving, and I'm all, oh, what was that? Let's go. And I take off in that direction. Well, he's got the back of my shirt, and he won't let go. We gotta go. And I'm like, yeah, we're going that way. That's where we're going. You know, and I shrugged free of him and started walking in that direction. And he grabs me and turns me around, and he goes, we're going this way. And I go, no, we're going this way. So I finally made it to the copse of trees, and there was too much duff under there to really see footprints. You know, I don't like to say it's a print unless I'm seeing a perfect print. So, you know, I go, okay, whatever. He's on me about leaving. So we left. I went with him. We left. And followed some prints on the way out. And something was following us on the way out because I kept hearing stuff behind us rustling, and he's just gotta go. Right. And I'm all, just stop for a minute. Stop. So where we stopped, there was this log, fallen down tree, whatever, laying there, but it was a big one. And I go, oh, hang on, it might be hungry. You don't know. So this is me. I grab we had a water bottle that hadn't been drunk out of, and I pop the top, and I go, this is water. See, it's safe to drink. And I put it on the log, and a pack of Ritz crackers. I always had Ritz crackers in the woods. So I put a pack of unopened Ritz crackers, and I had found this super long, bright blue feather. I still don't know where that came from. It was about whatever this is however this is.
Yeah,
You know,
that
if this
long.
is 8 inches, what is this? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, this super long, bright blue. Loved this feather, but I thought, well, kind of as a kindness, you know, here you can have, knowing now they see feathers all day long, but I'm all, here, have a feather. And so I know that it's right on the other side of this vegetation, long set of berry bushes and stuff, because I just heard something crack. So I go, these are for you. Share them with your family. We're going. And he's gotta go, gotta go. Yeah, we're going. So we left. The next day, he went to work and I went back out there. And I went straight to that stump. And it was remarkable. This bright blue, I mean, amazingly beautiful blue feather is still on the log, but this blue feather is now stone cold black. It is black. I still have it. I put it in it's hanging down in the living room. It's now black feather, and it's cut in half. And now each of the top part of the feather, if I didn't realize this, if you pull the top parts of the feather, they come out in a V shape and they look like how we make flying birds in a painting. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the V shapes are stacked from bigger to smaller. And the bottom half of the black feather is next to them. It's the same feather because I know the marks that were on the quill. Dude, I don't know. Okay, I've never heard this before. I swear it happened. I got the feather. And so obviously I picked up the feather and looked around for trash. I wanted to see if the bag from the crackers was there or the water bottle, and never found them. Hiked in a big circle farther and farther. I never found them. I thought, okay, whatever. So I take the feather, and of course I put it in a manila envelope with gloves on, because back then I thought, we got to get everything tested. I no longer feel that way. So I picked up the feather and thought I would hike farther up, make a circle, and come back. And I walked up to the top of the hill up there and found an amazing trackway. Okay, where I was walking, there was only one part of this trail that the water had been flowing over, because there's a creek that runs through there. And so it was a mud pile, right? And there's, I saw elk, deer, I saw coyote tracks, and I saw one squatch print on the side where they had tried to side hill it, where the grass was, and the right foot at one point had gone down in the mud and continued back side heel. Okay. Because you could see the grass on the side down, and then the one foot was right there. And I go, oh, that's the perfect print. Toes, mid-tarsal break, everything. And it's in all this tracks. All these animals come through here, but this one, yes. And it wasn't that far from the Jimmy. So I thought, I'm going to run back, get the casting material, and I'm going to cast this print. And it's going to be all I need, right? I get back, and as God is my witness, that mud area was cleared of all tracks. It looked like freshly laid cement after you take the things and freshly do the cement. And I stood there going, what is happening? What is going on here? Okay. Whoa. All the tracks were gone. There was not one coyote track, not one deer track, not one track. It was freshly laid cement. And I went, okay, so that one wasn't for me. All right. That was a bummer. Whatever. So I went home kind of disappointed that day. And then about 2 weeks later, my timing could be off. A couple that was now Rick hired this guy to work with them, and him and his wife had this special camp place they like to go to. And I'm not going to tell you where either. And this is Washington, though. And so they invited us to come and stay at their special camp space. So we go up there, and my first night there, I had invited my girlfriend, Christy, from Portland. Come up here and go camping with us. Well, now this couple, it was so strange. To me, this is still strange. They had these 2 pit bulls who would bark constantly. I love pits, but I hated these dogs. I'm like, shut up. So we would, at their house, at my house, at the beach, everywhere, bark, 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 shut up. So I thought, this is going to be kind of fun, but whatever. So they go up there and they set up their tent, and they've got their 2 dogs. And every night, about 10 o'clock, they would get in their tent, and you wouldn't hear a sound. These dogs never barked on that mountain, by the way. And I thought, this is going to be cool, because the dogs ain't barking. But every night they would get in their tent about 10 o'clock, and you would never hear a sound from them or their dogs. Okay? This comes into play later. So they were cool to camp with because of that. Well, anyway, so I invited Christy up, and we were sitting there on our first night, and we're listening to the frogs croaking at the lake, and all of a sudden it got deathly quiet. Because frogs will go do 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 do, and then they'll stop, and then one will start, and then they'll all start. And I kind of like listening to it. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But this night it got deathly quiet, and they never started back up. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd. And it was about 1:00 in the morning. So about 2:30, about 2:00, 2:30. It was just me and Christy up around the campfire, and I finally go, okay, well, I'm gonna go crawl in the tent, and she was sleeping in the Jimmy, and so we used to call ourselves Brave Princess Warriors. Okay. And we're the Brave Princess Warriors. So she goes to sleep in my truck, and I remember the next morning she had one standing by the side of the truck looking in on her. And I said, what the hell did you do? What did you do? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. What did you do? Because she came eye to eye with it. She looked up and goes, oh damn. She rolled over and she pretended like she was asleep. Okay, she does this sometimes and leaves me there, but she says, anyway, so I go, what did you do? And she said, I just pretended like I was asleep and I never looked up again. I'm all, oh, well, okay, whatever. And so that was our first, we go, okay, they're here. We found them. This is where we're going to start basing ourselves. So unfortunately, we had to shake the other couple. And so the next time we went up there, it was that couple and me. Christy didn't come. It was just me and my ex and this couple. And about, I don't know, it was about 5:00 in the morning. My ex wakes me up and he goes, come with me. I want to show you something. And I go, dude, whatever. Okay, it's just getting light. Come on, you got to see this. This is so cool. Okay, that got me up. And we drove down this logging road. I don't know what the heck he was walking around logging roads at 5 a.m. for, but he takes me to this. No, seriously. He takes me to this area of this logging road. There's a culvert running under the road for the water. I tell you, the creek comes through here and zooms around in different areas. Well, so he takes me up where this culvert comes underneath the ground, and on one side of the road, it's wet. There's a wet puddle place area, mud, and there's a perfect print in there. And I swear, in fact, that's the one. Can you see it on my wall right there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we got that day. And the only one I've ever gotten. So he shows me this print and I'm all, oh yeah. I go, you got anything to cast it with? And he goes back in the truck and I go, I ain't leaving. You go back. Because we had walked here. I go, I ain't leaving this one. I ain't going nowhere. No one's paving this one. Go back to the truck, get the truck, bring the truck back with all the stuff. Okay, because I'll be right here. And I did. I stood right there and I'm looking off both sides of the road. And I'm like, no, you ain't getting this one. Even if you are watching.
You were telling them this is mine.
I'm all, come on, dudes. Come on. I just want to make sure this one didn't get paved over. Okay. So he did come back with the stuff and we poured the stuff in and I stayed there until it was dry and took it back to the campsite. Now I had told him, don't tell this other couple about this. Because I didn't want to hear it. So I go, just don't tell the other couple about it. So then as soon as we get back to the campsite with this footprint, he's all, look what we got, blah, blah. And of course, the dude, you've heard it before, I'm sure. That didn't exist. That just is. It's a double bear track. Where's the clause? Well, I don't know. Well, you're stupid. Shut up. So I didn't want to hear it anymore. So we got even with him, though. Believe it. So he always gave us slack. So the next weekend, I said, Christy, you got to come up here, man. And Christy came up. We were with this couple. And unfortunately, his wife wanted to go hiking with us. So we took her up the mountain with us, whatever. And we found this trackway. And now this trackway, oh, it was so beautiful. It was a big one and a baby one. Oh, a little, ittle. It was so sweet. Okay.
Really?
So we're following the little one up. And to this day, I obliterate every trackway I find. People get mad at that, but I don't need you coming up behind me. I don't need hunters, and I've dealt with them before. And so we obliterate tracks when we find them now. And so I'm following the baby's track, and he's meandering all through the woods, and he comes up to the creek, and, he's just having a great time. And the mom's just walking a straight line right up the creek bed. And little guy's having a great time. And at one point, they come together. She comes into the creek, her track, one track's in the creek. And I think she picked the kid up and said, enough of this, let's go. because only her tracks came out of the creek, okay, and continued up this mountainside. So as we're obliterating the trackways, this chick is like, well, then I really, that's probably a bear, that's probably this. And I go, then don't worry about it, because you ain't going to see him again anyway. And so I told her, why don't you just go back to camp? We're really not in the mood for you, because that's just who I am. Just go back to camp and,
I'm going to say this, Kathi. I picked up on that in the first 20 minutes after I met you.
Just kind of, I mean, why argue? Why have drama? If you're not into it, don't be here.
Right.
So me and Christy continued up and over the top of this mountain and found another, I think this was an old logging road that hadn't been used for years. And we followed that up a little bit and found another beautiful meadow area with this big log tree laying in the middle of it. And we sat down there and we play our flutes in the forest. Nothing sounds better than Christy on a flute in the forest. And so we're sitting there and you can hear rustling all coming in to the tree lines, and we try to ignore sounds. Okay. That's my one rule. Ignore sounds. We have, we'll look at each other, go, did you hear that? Yeah, I did. Okay, leave it. Don't turn around real fast, and don't run at everything you hear, because what are they going to do? Run away. You're done.
Right.
So we ignore everything. And this one comes in closer and closer. I think it was getting a little irked that we weren't paying attention. And that's when, they like to try to get your attention, but we try to ignore them. And so we kept ignoring this little thing. I say, okay, because back when we started, our first sighting up there at this area, it was black, and it was about 5.5 foot tall. Okay. So I thought, oh, this ain't bad. We can be friends, because that's what I thought. They were that big. I thought, okay, we can do this. So I assumed, we called him Blackie. I don't know what his name was. He never said nothing to us. But we would kind of play around with this little Blackie. He'd play with us, and you get a pine cone or something. We're going, oh, you don't got to do that. We know you're here. Okay. So that's how I found out where they were. And that was the last the last time we camped with this couple. Okay, we went back up here. It was 4th of July. This is funny as heck. This dude who didn't believe nothing, didn't want to hear nothing, and made jokes all the time, right? We all went down for 4th of July, and me and Christy came back up first, banked the fire, blah, blah, blah. There was a whole story in that. Oh, if anybody wants more information, I wrote a book.
Oh.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Tom, once again, this is the first 6 to 8 years, I believe, of our little journey, my journey into myth and mystery, and it's KJ Blount. See, no one knows who I am. I'm not Kathi, I'm KJ.
I'll make sure that I put links and stuff in the description.
And I had to reread it to remember some of this stuff, because so much has happened. But This is how they'll get even with you, okay? This is 4th of July. And right before we all went down, as a matter of fact, I remember he came back into camp and he had either stepped on or ran into a bee's nest, because he was covered in bee stings. And I thought, good for you, right? Like, he wanted sympathy, but he wasn't getting it from me. I thought, good for you. That's what you get for sitting in their home decking fun about them. That's what you get. So after the wife made them all feel better, put mud all over them and everything, we went down for 4th of July, blah, blah, blah. It's on Long Beach. Best fireworks show ever. Because, Long Beach, Washington, I just gave you sort of my area, but that's not where I was. That's why we had to drive down into it, people. Anyway, when me and Christy got back up there and we banged up the fire, they have their own whistle they use up there. That's how I always know it's them. And I can't whistle, but it's like a, okay, it goes toot, toot, and then down and back up. So, okay, and it tilts all the way back up at the end. And so we hear that and we go, oh, cool, you're home. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then that other couple pulled up. Well, so me and Christy go and sit on my tent, and I got my tent facing the lake. And to get down into this area, there's 3 wooden steps, or you're going to slide down the bank. Okay. And that's where my tent is, right there. And so she comes in with the dogs and she gets in her tent, which is over there. And he didn't show up. And I tell Christy's laying in the tent and I'm sitting in the doorway cross-legged looking out the door. And we see he had gone to the lake right there and he was setting off those fireworks. I don't know what they are, but you get a tube and then like one comes out, then one comes out, then one comes out. Okay.
Yep.
And so he's just firing those out over the lake. And I go, oh, Christy, look, fireworks. They look so cool. And she goes, nah, screw him. Because that's okay. Excuse my language, but that's what we thought about him. So I go, no, the fireworks look really cool. Well, right about then, where this guy was standing on the edge of the lake there's this big tree growing there. And right behind him, oh man, you hear this huge wood knock, just bam. And I go, oh shit, he pissed him off. And next thing you know, you hear steps pounding up the dirt road. And I'm, oh, that's him, huh? And I go, watch this. I go, Christy, look, get up. And she goes, no. And I go, get up. And she goes, no. Once again, she goes, if I'm asleep, they won't hurt me. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to argue with it. Do you, baby? So I go, oh, whatever. So you hear him pounding up the thing, and he doesn't take the steps. He slides down the hillside, just like a baseball player coming into base. So I see him coming towards my tent. I put my foot out and kicked him off that way. And I go, you ain't coming in here. You pissed him off, dude. And he's sliding towards the campfire. And I go, you pissed him off. You deal with him. And so I hear him get in his tent real quick. And obviously no one came into camp or anything. But I always thought, see, good for you. You don't know. That's what you get. That was the last time they camped there. He never came back, which was good for me. Okay, we got their spot, basically.
Some people can't handle the truth.
Dude, he kept making fun of him the whole time. What do you think? They're not going to mess with you? I mean, come on. Yeah. I was hoping they would, actually. When he came back all stung, I was like telling the forest, oh, good for him. Did you do that? I hope so. So they got even with him. So after that, anyway, I started going up there by myself. I really didn't want. Yeah, I like camping alone. And so many things, just so many things. Oh, no, there was one other time they did come up, okay? And then for some reason, they got in their tent about 9 o'clock and you never hear another sound, right? Which is okay. And so I remember, though, I went and got in my tent and I thought, well, I'll just read a book or something. And as I was sitting there, all of a sudden, it's dark already. So I've got my flashlight on and I realized my tent's all lit up. I can see without my flashlight. So I unzip the door and I get out and I hear this couple over by the lake talking. What are they doing? What's going on? What is that? What is that? And I look up, there's a hillside across the lake that goes up. That's the one. I mean, anyway, yeah, there's a hillside over there. And when you looked at the hillside, there's this big white bright light, just okay, and it's lighting up all the trees around it. And these people, I walk out next to them, I go, what is it? And he goes, I don't know, is it a UFO? What is it? And I go, well, huh? Right about that time, though, all the lights separated and started walking in other directions. And then you start hearing, what on, well, yeah, is it? Yeah, I'm over here, it's got it. Yeah, I guess not. And I'm like, you son of a bitches. Because that's my clan. No, it's not. But that's my clan. So I go, I got pissed. Okay. I did. I was like, you suckers. And besides, what are you going to find out there anyway? I don't know. Everything in the forest knows you're there. They're gone. Whatever. Yeah. Have fun. I'm going back to camp. So I walked back into camp and I stoked up the fire and I sat there and I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and roast some hot dogs. So I have lunch tomorrow. I won't have to start a fire or anything. And besides, I need something to do. So I got the dogs and put them on the sticks and just kind of leaned them over the fire. And I'm sitting there thinking, what are these people doing? Do they know that they're here? Are they hunting them? You're not hunting deer. What are you doing?
Right.
So as I'm contemplating this, I hear this little whistle. I hear the whistle behind my left shoulder. And I go, oh, and it comes to me. I'm like, you guys aren't that stupid. Yeah, leave them on that hillside. Come over here, And then I hear the whistle off my right shoulder. And there's a line of berry bushes behind me. So I hear the whistle, "Choo, choo, choo," and I go, "Oh, right on." And then I hear it over here, "Choo, choo, choo," and I go, "Oh, are you hungry? I'm making hot dogs. You want some hot dogs?" And I don't hear anything, of course, but I go ahead and put some dogs on some buns. And the dumb part is I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I wonder if they want ketchup or mustard. Like, what condiments would you like? And I crack up because I crack myself up all the time. And I go, oh, never mind the condiments. So I put them on a one paper plate so it's real flimsy. And right outside of camp is a thin, probably about this big around, metal pole. I'm not sure, something was chained on it at one point, I believe. But so there's this little metal concrete. That's what it was, concrete pole. And I took the paper plate, balanced it on this little pole, and it had 4 dogs in buns. And I go, okay, here, these are for you. I'll go back in my tent and let you guys eat. Not a problem. And then I walked back over to my tent and I sat there and reading for a while. And then I got curious. So I'm like, I wonder if they're eating. I couldn't leave it alone. So I got back out of my tent and I walked back over there. And plus I wanted to see if it was a small animal, it would have knocked the plate off the metal.
Right.
Cement. And so I went back over there. I expected to find the plate on the ground and, because we had possums and raccoons up there. But the plate was still balanced on the pole and everything was gone but the bottom half of the bun. And it wasn't pulled off. It was, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
It was like they go, oh, and they always leave something for you. Respect. I'm going to tell you.
Wow.
Okay? They'll leave a little piece. I don't know why, because I go eat it all. But so I don't know. So anyway, I find the plate still balanced there and the little piece of bun, and it made my heart happy. These guys are still over here. And they're, like, have fun, guys. Whatever. I'm having fun. So anyway, that was the end of that night.
If it would have been even a bear or something, it's going to knock that plate off. It's going to get it down on the ground.
Yeah.
It's not going to have the manual dexterity to
reach
grab
up,
it,
and
not knock that plate off.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was confirmation.
Right.
Plus, I fed my friends. Cool.
Right.
So the next morning, all this stuff was going on the hillside, and this couple's still in their tent. Their dog's not barking. Do you know what I'm saying? There's people talking, echoing through the mountains. Nothing. Well, the next morning when they got up, I asked them, I go, didn't you hear all that commotion last night? Did you hear anything? And they're like, no, we never heard a thing. And I'm like, God, there are people combing the entire hillside. And I'm sitting out here talking to something right outside your tent. You didn't hear any of that? Never heard a thing. Cool. Okay.
Wow.
Well, so that evening, that afternoon, they left. They decided to go home for whatever reason. And so that evening, on this lake, there was this tree that had fallen and it jets out about a quarter of the way. Maybe not that far, but it jets out into the lake and you can shimmy down the log and sit at the end of it and you're out in the water. You know what I mean? And so that's when we sat there a lot. So I went out there and I had just gotten some night vision. And someone had sent me from back east. And so I wanted to sit at the end in the water and use a night vision and scan the tree line. It's a circular lake with trees all the way around it. And I wanted to scan the tree line. So, and there's a dock over here to my right that jets out also. So I'm looking around with the night vision. And when I got to where that dock was, I stopped because it was a guy standing there with his own night vision. Okay. So I kind of lifted my hand. I waved at him and he lifted his hand and waved at me. And hello, how are we doing today? Whatever. So I put mine down though. And I'm like, well, that was weird. And right at that time, I see a light coming from my left through the tree. I have to look through the bushes, but there's a light. It's a bright light. I can see this light and I think there's nobody over there. That's my camp. What's going on? So this light is coming at me, okay? And as I'm looking directly at it, as it's coming at me through the trees, avoiding branches and stuff, and it never went up, it never went down. It was just a smooth straight across. Okay. So I'm looking at it, and at first it looked round, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And I notice as it's coming through the trees, it's not lighting up the vegetation. So it isn't emitting light, it is light. Weird. Well, I'm watching and I'm thinking, what is that? It's not emitting light, but it is light. Well, that's kind of weird. I know, but that's what it is. It's light. Okay. So it comes up out of the trees, and now it's coming over the top of the lake. And as I'm getting a different peripheral on it, from a different direction, it has a tail. It looks, when I was younger, I had glow in the dark space stuff on my walls, and it looked like the way they portray a comet. It's round, and then it tapers to a tail. And I'm like, oh, this is weird as heck. And it's not going up, and it's not going down, and it's coming across, and it's coming across. And I'm watching it, and the whole time thinking, what is that? What could it possibly be? Because my brain's telling me it's a comet. No, it's a shooting star. No, it's the moon. Stupid. So my brain's not, I just know what I'm seeing. And it comes across right in front of me. And it's coming across the lake. Like I said, it's not going up. It's not going down. It's a straight. So it's nothing that was thrown. Straight trajectory, flying across the lake. Okay. And it gets over to where that guy was at the dock. And by now I've noticed, as soon as we saw each other, he turned and started walking off the dock. And then I saw this thing, and now I'm watching it going, it's a star. It's a sun. It's the moon. What is it? Well, as it gets to this dock, it disappeared. And I'm all, hey, they turned the lights out. They turned the lights out. They didn't turn the lights out. Well, it disappeared. It can't disappear. It vanished. It vanished. What the hell? So at this point, I'm like, enough. And I said out loud, I remember, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm going back to camp. This is enough for today. I'm done. Because when it got to that dock, it was just gone.
Yeah.
Like they turned the lights out. It was gone. And I sat listening. Nothing hit the water. Nothing hit the dock. There was no sound at all. It was just gone. But what? So I remember then I just went back to camp, and I'm like, okay, we're done for the night. This is enough. Because, sometimes you have to sit.
You do hear about people talking about rods. Like they're just rods of light.
This didn't look like any picture of any rod I saw based on the shape. I mean, it was shaped. Okay. I think there's a
like teardrop, like a.
When I went home, I don't know. There might be a picture in the book. I took a picture of. Okay, I had a picture of the lake from that same viewpoint, so I took that picture and drew in the orb, the shape.
Okay.
With the white light, because obviously I didn't have a picture of it.
Right.
But my head had to see this again. So I did.
I get you.
Yeah, and it wasn't long. It was round with a tail. Okay. And the tail wasn't spewing things off of it like a rocket. It just was a solid tail. Weird. And that was not the first orb. I've seen orbs with my naked eye so many times. This was the only one I've ever seen with a tail. See, camping at this exact same place months later with a lady and her boy and me and Christy. Boy, he was 17, her young man. Her and I were standing off in the dark while the others were at the campfire. And this light came in through the woods, same woods, but different area, came in through the woods, and I watched it weaving around the trees, coming at us. And I'm just watching it. And once again, it's bright white, but it's not lighting anything up as it passes. So again, it's not emitting light. It just is light. And I swear this thing came up and stopped right in front of me and my friend, this lady. Stopped right in front of us. It's about this big. Let me see. It's about this far from us, and it was this big. And it just stopped. And so I'm looking at it, and I go, and it goes up and down. And I go, oh, that's weird. Okay. So then it did it one more time and left. It went off, not fast, just weaving its way through the trees like I had somewhere to go, and just stopped to say hi. And I turned and that's when I remembered she was even standing there. And I turned and I go, did you see that? She goes, of course, it was right there. And I go, what up? She goes, I don't know. I don't
So it was
either.
close enough that you could have touched it?
Yes, we could have reached out
Holy
and
cow.
touched it. But obviously that thought never even occurred to me. Because at the time, your brain's trying to say, what's happening here? Do you know what I
Right.
mean? You know what I mean. You're
Yeah.
trying to analyze it. While it's happening, you're too excited to analyze it. But afterwards, I always have to sit and go, And that's why I keep journals. I have journals. Always write in your journal the very next morning because shit's happening all night long. So I saw that going across the lake. That was pretty wicked. I've never heard of an account with a tail. And the night, I was sitting in front of the fire. Oh, this was weird, dude. I've never heard of somebody had to have had this happen to him. So I'm sitting in front of the fire, and I had been given a list of Squatch words, presumably, whatever the word is I'm looking for. And so I'm sitting out there in front of the fire. This is another camp set alone, and I'm reading these words, and I'm trying to get the pronunciation and blah blah blah. And when you know how it is when you're looking through your own eyes. So all I see is my hand. I see the flashlight and I see the page, right? Because all I can see is what's coming out of my own. Well, so I'm sitting there, and next thing, I don't even know when it happened, but I realized I could see the top of my head, my hand to the elbow, my flashlight I'm holding, the notepad on my thing, and my legs. And I went, huh? And I sat with that for a few going, okay, this is weird. This is not normal. And then pretty soon my mind just said, had enough. And I go, oh, no, just don't hurt me. And I remember yelling loud, just don't hurt me. And ran over to where the fire was. And it was over there. So I ran over to the fire, and I never once turned around to look behind me because I didn't want to know what's happening. At that time, I was like, what is happening? What's happening? Because it was not normal. And that kind of freaked me out. Because you're just not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think it was Sasquatch, or do you think it was
I
something
don't know
else?
what it was because I've seen some weird shit out there. I don't know what it was, but I just know that I was seeing me through my eyes. How can you see the top of the
Wow.
head through your eyes? You can't. Okay, weird. So that night, I don't know. Okay, so earlier, while I was reading my words, I had heard 3 cars pass me on the road above and drove in, and I heard them stop down the road, and I heard 3 distinct sets of car doors slamming, closing, but it echoes in the mountains. So I know there's 3 cars that passed me. 3 people came out at least, and they're over there, and they're playing good music, rocking my stuff. And I was enjoying that. And I kind of forgot all about them when all this stuff went down. So me screaming into the woods, just don't hurt me. I know they probably heard that. Yeah, I know they probably heard that, but I didn't even think about them because there was too much going on in my head. And I go, okay, that's enough for me. I gotta, no, we're done. And so I had this light that would cast just a small shadow just to kind of light up the circumference over there. So if I looked out the window, I could see what was going on in camp. And I lit that, took 2 steps away, it went out. Lit it again, took 3 steps, it went out. We did this like probably 4 times. I said, oh, no, just whatever. Grabbed it and I put it in the tent. And I couldn't figure out why it didn't work that night when it worked every other night. But I remember I got in my tent, and I was laying there, had all the lights out, and I heard 2 of the car doors at the end slam shut. You know what I mean? And I heard that. Doosh, doosh. Okay, there's a set. Doosh. Oh, there's another set. Okay, they're going to bed too. Awesome. And about the time I thought about going to sleep, because usually I'll lay there and just listen to see what's going to happen around the tent. You get little animals. I got mice sometimes running around. And I heard 2 or 3 steps. I think 3, but the first one was over here in the vegetation. And so there's 1, 2, 3, plant. Do you know what I mean by plant? So you
Right.
hear 1, 2, right behind my head, it planted. It's what I call it when they're standing there. And I go, oh, hello. How are we doing? What's going on? In my head. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And you wait to see what's going to happen. Sometimes they'll push the tent and touch your head. They do things like that. Yeah, they like to do that to me. And so I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Well, instead, I heard footsteps on the dirt road above my camp. Okay. And I thought, so another one's coming in down the road? But it didn't have the same cadence. We don't walk the same as them. We walk more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
Makes
good.
perfect sense.
And so I'm hearing this coming up and I start realizing, that's not them. So then I hear the 2 steps down the hill where I'm down in this little bowl, and I hear a couple of steps come down. And about the time I'm thinking, what is happening? I hear, and I can't say any of this on the radio, I hear, what the bleep and bleep? What? No, bleep. No. What the blick, blick? Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? And this guy, it was a man's voice, and this guy is going off, blah, bleep, blah, blah, bleep, bleep. And then I think someone just tried to sneak into my camp after I turned all my lights out. Some man just tried to sneak into my camp, saw the Squatch standing behind my tent, hightailed it back to the road, booked it down to the end of the road, and then I hear slamming on a car, that metallic, dang, get up, we gotta leave. Freak the hell out of this dude. He'll never try that again now, will he? And then I hear...
you had Sasquatch watching over you, so no, I don't think he's going to try that again.
I don't think he's going to try that one again. Well, then I hear one of the occupants of the vehicles was a female, because then I hear, if you ever hit my car like that again, and I'm like, you got in trouble twice, didn't you? And that's what you get for trying to be sneaky, huh? So that was the first time that I realized they're protecting me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that was a biggie.
Right.
That was a biggie in my book. That was a big one as far as trust goes. And so, like I said, since then, I obliterate trackways. I never tell anybody where they are. When people tell me they don't exist, I go, you're right, they don't. Don't ask me questions. You won't like my answer because I don't want to give them up. I mean, when you hear people go, they couldn't exist because I've never seen one. Well, what kind of person are you? I've
never seen my own brain, but I know it's there.
Well, I've taken people into the woods and they've let me know they don't like them. Oh, in no uncertain terms will they let me know we don't like them, and I don't go back out with them again. I've had people get skunked. They scared the heck out of Zach. He wouldn't go back in the woods with me again if I wanted him to, so they're like, I don't have a dog, but I have Sasquatch. And if your dog don't like somebody, you don't like somebody.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, that was, to me, it was funny. To him, probably not. And then he got in his car and he was coming so fast and these roads are so windy. I thought, oh, man. And then I was just going, oh, please don't let him crash into my campsite. Because there's a curve where you get to where I am. And if he'd have came off, he'd have been right on me. So then that was my second thing. Oh, keep him on the road. And this thing's never moved. It's never moved. I don't know, male, female, I don't know. But it has not moved a muscle at all still. So I'm telling it, please don't let it come off the road right there and kill me. Oh my gosh, just, let him get down to the bottom of the hill, safe, whatever. But this thing did not move until his car came around. I could hear it, creak, and halfway down this mountain, probably, he was cooking it. He was off that. You gotta go right now. Okay, he was out of there. And then after it passed, and after probably a minute, 3 steps back into the wood line again.
Wow.
I know that to me was everything.
Right.
So I got real protective about this clan, and that's when I knew I could come up here for 2 weeks to a month by myself. So that's what I started doing. I just, it was close enough to town, an hour away. If I needed something really, I could go get it. So I started spending a whole lot of time up there by myself. And it was really cool because on one of the ridge lines over, the other mountain over, there was a logging show going on. And a guy pulled into my campsite one day, and he was all dressed like a logger. And he told me that this was basically closed because of the logging going on. And I go, but your logging doesn't affect me. And I promise never to affect you. And as you can see, I keep a clean camp. Can I stay? And he goes, after we talked for a while, he goes, yeah, you can stay. I'll come by and check on you every couple of days. And he did. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
all kinds of, I'm just trying to remember everything that happened up there. Oh my gosh. Like the one time after.
So does most of your encounters happen at the same place?
At this time it did, because that's where I lived and it was close to home. So that's where I was basing myself. See, and we had all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, it got to where, okay, I got to be in this area probably a good 4 years. And sometimes Christy would come up, because she lived in Portland and worked in Portland, and I wasn't anywhere near there. So every once in a while she'd come up and stay too. And then unfortunately, fortunately, her kids are wonderful. She ended up having 2 kids. So when Connor was born, the first kid, we made it a point. We took him up there and we did the Kunta Kinte thing at the top of the mountain. We did. She held him up and she said, "Oh, this is Connor. Connor is mine. But if you show me yours, I'll show you mine." And we kind of did one of these things, right? They never did show us theirs, but whatever. But so we introduced Connor to the clan and blah, blah, blah. And I believe it was that night or the next night. They came into camp after we had bedded down, and you could hear them walking all over and walking up to my tent, pushing on my head, and sometimes they just like to push on your head, and you're like, yeah, it's me, whatever. So the next morning I got up though, and I will never forget, Christy goes, she comes up to me. She always got up first because she had the kids, but she would come up to me and she said, "Why did you pee in my tent?" And I said, "Christy, why would I pee on your tent? You've known me for over 30 years. Why would I pee on your tent? Think about it." And she goes, "Oh, well, I don't know." She goes, "Come here." And she takes me around the back of her tent, and there's piss. Because, and it was male, I'm assuming, because they leave a divot in the dirt. Dogs, anybody. And so there's this big divot in the dirt next to her tent, and it's still semi-wet, so I'm not sure when they did that, but I go, it wasn't me, fool. So at this point the road was kind of sandy, dusty. That's what I'm looking for. And so we found a trackway leading out of our campsite, and I go, see, it wasn't me. Why did I do that? And I go, maybe it was just protection for Connor. We don't know. Do you know what I mean? We had followed a bear the day before we were hiking and found that the trail we're on, we kept finding fresh bear scat. And I go, we don't want to be here. Let's go this way. So I don't know why they did that, but they peed on the tent. Well, when she went in to get the boy, his blanket, and to this day, this imprint is on this blanket. There's an imprint on his blanket. Looks just like a Squatch. There's a Sasquatch there on all fours. He's hairy. You can see his little wee-wee hanging down. Seriously, you can see his feet, everything. Okay, and this was, God, when did we start this? 2010? 2009?
Wow.
Had to have been. When was Connor born? 2010 at the latest. To this day, she has that blanket hanging up in her room, and that imprint is still there.
What caused the imprint?
We don't know. It's just like it's this white satin baby blanket. Okay. And then there's this dark stain on the baby blanket.
Wow.
On this white satin. Yeah, it was weird. Even at that time, we're like, we had no clue. Don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Wow.
But it is kind of cool that it's still there all these years later, right? So
it was like the Bob Ross of Sasquatch.
I don't know. It was in the tent the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Wow.
That white blanket never came out of the tent. And
that is weird.
I'll tell you, this has been, What a long, strange trip it's been. I mean, the things they do, there's no explanation for half of it. And therefore, no one will ever believe you.
Right.
It's so weird.
Wow.
Like the night that one came and sat at the fire with us. Who's going to believe that? But it happened. Finally, after 4 years of inviting them into camp, all are welcome in our camp. Finally, one night, we're sitting there, both kids were in the tent asleep, and we're sitting in front of the fire, and one came in and sat down next to Christy. And she was like, because she was on my left side, I'm on the right side in front of the fire pit, and there's the berry bushes on the left-hand side. It came, and you hear crunch, crunch, donk, donk, boop. And it sat down. She looked at me, her eyes were huge. She goes, "Did you see that?" And I go, "Yeah, don't look at it." Don't move a muscle. I don't know why neither one of us.
How did you not look at it?
I don't know. I think at the time I was thinking, when wild animals come near you or birds, don't move. Gain their trust first. No sudden movements. No nothing that would scare them away. This is how we've always done it. Let them come to you and don't scare them off. Now, looking back on it, you know darn well I wanted to be having a conversation with it. Okay?
Yeah.
But at the time, we were both so freaked out and elated at the same time that we just looked at each other, we locked eyes, and I know our signals, and I go, "Yeah," because she was asking me, "Do you see this?" And I'm, "Yeah." But we didn't turn in any way, shape, or form. We were solid, like a rock, sitting in front of the fire pit. And then I think about after, I don't know, 3 minutes or so, I thought I could move to the right. If I veer off to the right, I'm not threatening it and I'm not coming near it. But I wanted my eyes to see, not, because you know how it is. You get blind looking at the fire and you lose your night eyes. So I did get up and I scooted off to the right a couple steps and then walked around to the right to the picnic table that was behind us. And I'm trying to get my night eyes and to see over her shoulder and see what might be there. But when I got to the table, there's this loud, deep to my right and behind me. And I said, "Daddy's not happy. I'm not happy." That's what went through my head. Daddy's not happy. I'm not happy. So I skirted back and sat back in my chair, and we just sat there in front of the fire and didn't move. I don't know. It's easy to look back and go, "You should have," and "I should have." I know. But at the time, this was all still new to us. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Holy cow. This was all still new to us. We didn't know what to do. What do? You sit still and you let wildlife and nature take its course. So that's what we did. And eventually, it didn't even stand up to walk off. It was kind of weird. It kind of did a scooch move back to the, it's hard to explain. Do you know what I'm saying? You can tell the difference in the sounds and the motion. But like if you're sitting there and it's sitting here, and instead of hearing the sound of something standing up and walking off, maybe it knew it'd scare Christy to death if it stood up right next to her like that. But it did this, like, you hear shuffling. It shuffled off to the farther to her left before it went into the vegetation. Now, this shuffling, at the time, I didn't even know that it was shuffling. I'm just like, well, that's weird. How did it do that? But see, later on, years later, we watched one shuffle. They don't stand up. They're, talk about yoga experts. They can just move their legs. He shuffled. And the head don't bob, and it just goes like a conveyor belt. Shuffle. Wicked. I wish I could do that. I'm not that limber anymore. But yeah.
So like when it's sitting down?
Okay. Not kneel down. You hunch down and your knees are bent, and sometimes they'll hunch down and just look like a square. Okay, because their hands are like by their knees, and then instead of getting up, they just use their legs to shuffle off to the side. The muscle power has got to be intense.
Well, you hear about the spider crawl and stuff like that. So
Oh,
they
the first time I heard about that when I was camping alone, I said that in the woods. I go, do not ever enter my campsite on all fours. You just walk in like a man and all are welcome. I saw a video of that and I went, don't ever, and don't come up behind me. Just walk into camp like a man, all are welcome. I don't like spiders. Could you imagine something that big coming into your
Yeah.
campsite looking like a spider?
Somebody said there's a video of this woman who does like ballet, and she can do the spider crawl like the way people
Yeah,
describe
with
Sasquatch
their
doing it.
arms and their
I have not
legs.
found this video. I've just heard people talking about it, and I need to find it.
Huh. I
But
just
apparently, it's just creepy as hell looking at it.
I'd like to look for that, but do I want to see that? Because all I saw back then was a artist's rendition of it. It was just like a
Hmm.
charcoal drawing or something.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to know I don't want to see this in the dark coming at my camp. Just keep it, they kept it pretty light comparatively. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hearing voices, I'm seeing things. I'm comparatively light. That was light. Compared to them freezing your body. I've had that happen 3 times now. Well,
Are you talking about like infrasound?
no, I'm talking freezing your body. You can't move a muscle. You are stuck. You are stone. That's happened to us 3 times. You cannot move. You're done. Your body can say run all it wants, but you're not moving a muscle. Nothing's obeying you. You've never heard of that?
I have not heard. I've heard of people saying they were zapped or got hit with the infrasound and like they lost control of themselves, but not like
Oh.
not frozen.
You want to hear some things?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so when was the first time was obviously when I saw the bee's nest with the bark ball.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to walk that trail, but I got right there and my body stopped. Stone cold, would not go forward, would not
Okay.
move. Okay. And then for me to be walking backwards, or not backwards, but walking back in an opposite direction, that was freaky enough. But okay, then um, me and Christy, this is now in Oregon. This is in a place in Oregon. And we found this perfect spot out by Mount Hood. I'll give you that much. Because we found this perfect spot overlooking this canyon with Mount Hood right across from us. Just beautiful spot. And overlooking this canyon, there are rocks. These big, huge rocks. You can walk down little ways and lay on these big rocks and just look out. It was just beautiful. So we set up camp there immediately. This is our spot. And put the tent right at the edge of the canyon, and then had the truck parked over here and made a fire pit over here, brought in rocks, made a fire pit. And was it the second night? Because the first night we drove all around the mountain picking up garbage. We had a truckload of garbage, just the whole back of the pickup was just full of garbage. And pulled into camp that night, set up the fire, made dinner, and it was starting to get really cold. And she goes, I think I'll go sit in the truck for a while. And I go, oh, I think I'll join you. That sounds good. Let's listen to some music and stuff. And so we went and sat in the truck, and the truck is facing away from the canyon because you always back in, so you got a quick getaway on the way out. So we're facing the opposite direction into the darkness, and we're sitting in the truck just talking and everything, watching the fire over here. I'm on the passenger side looking out the passenger window. And I'm seeing the fire and everything. And then suddenly my head just, for some reason, I'm looking out the front of the windshield. And I go, huh, well, that's nice. And then all of a sudden my body got super heavy. Like something was holding my legs down and holding my arms down. And I couldn't move my head. I could still move my eyes. So I'm looking at her and she hasn't moved a muscle either. And I'm like, well, this is fucking weird. It can't just be me because she ain't moved either. And she shut up. She's not talking no more. And then I look over this way with my eyes, and you can train your eyes to, I try to see as far as I can off to the side. Someone taught me that years ago, especially in the woods. See as far as you can over here without moving your head. And I could see the window, and I could see the fire pit, and then all of a sudden I couldn't, and there was a face there. and he did not look happy. And I went, oh, crap. What are we doing here? So it just sat there. I mean, its face took up the whole window. It was just there. And I'm like, oh, okay. What's happening? What's going to happen? And I couldn't move. I couldn't move nothing. And I go, okay, well, I've been here before, and that was good. It worked out well. And this thing's staring at us like hating life. And all of a sudden I hear, you have no respect for the land. You have no respect for yours. No, you have no respect for, you have no respect for yourself. You have no respect for the land. You have no respect for nothing. And I go, I have respect to everything. I respect everything. What are you talking about? And I got this picture of garbage. And I go, yeah, it's on the back of the truck. I picked it all up. We picked it up. We're taking this out of here. We didn't bring it with us. We're taking it out of here. And I hear this, they're annoyed. Well, to you too, dude. What? And then and I go, yeah, to you too. What are you talking? And then it started to walk back off towards the canyon. I realized, oh, it came up from the canyon. And right about that time, I felt like my legs were floating. Okay. And I go, oh, my legs are floating. And I didn't realize I said it out loud. And Christy goes, they're just lighter. And I go, what the hell? Yours are lighter, mine are floating. You were feeling the same thing I was. And she goes, yeah, I couldn't move. And we were both tingling, kind of like, because it was weird. I felt like my legs were floating. She goes, they're just lighter. So just, whatever, we each had our own interpretation of what was going on, but we had the same thing happen to us. And instantly I look over and I realize now, I go, I don't know how much time just passed, but our fire's out. We need a fire, dude. It's dark out there. I go, turn on the lights and do the horn, the alarm. When you do her alarm, her headlights go off, her tail lights go off, the back light comes on. You know what I mean? I go, let's look around and see what's happening. So we did that, and I'm all looking around. And I don't see anything in camp, but I know we got to tend to that fire. So we both decide, okay, let's run for the fire. I don't know how the fire is going to save us. We'll run for the fire pit. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. And we run to the fire pit, and I start stoking it up, and she's bringing in some tinder, and we got that fire going, and never saw that thing again. Okay. And
could you describe the face you saw?
Oh, dear Lord. What I see is it's all dark. Obviously it's black out there. So all I really saw was like a brown. It was a tan with the eyes, big old ones. And I thought, oh crap. It was so big, and it was right there in my window. So what I basically saw, I didn't see a lot of detail because obviously it was black out there, and I'm looking through the window, and there's no lights on in the truck. We didn't have any lights on in the truck.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't lighting anything up. You see what I'm saying? But I remember kind of turning my eye, and oh crap. And it was only for a second because I saw eyes looking at me, and I went, oh crap. And that's when I realized it's taking up the whole window. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
But I don't know if I could turn my head if I would have, just because that glimpse was like, oh, crappers.
Yeah. Wow.
Because this is back in the beginning. We didn't know what they were going to do. And it was giving off such an angry vibe. Just, you know how you just know some people aren't in a good mood just by looking at them. And so we analyzed this most of that night, and we were leaving the next day anyway, because we only had the weekend, and we went back into town, and I had called Tom. I called Tom about a lot of things. And I go, Tom, check this out. This is the first menacing encounter I've ever had. It held us down somehow. How did they do that? Why did he do that? And Tom was like, I tell you what, let's go back next weekend, and I'll come with you guys. Cool. I wanted to show you this spot anyway. It's a beautiful spot. Well, we went up the very next weekend, Friday night, and had to clean the damn spot up again before we could camp. And so the next morning, we drove around the mountain showing Tom all these beautiful sights we had found, picking up garbage at everyone. I'm talking car batteries, diapers, fast food bags.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was driving around up there, like anywhere there was a pull off.
Yeah.
It was just like people just dump whatever.
You have no respect for the land. That was it. You have no respect for the land. You have no respect for yourselves. And I'm like, that stuck with me. Yes, I do. But other people do not. And they're dealing with this.
Right.
So anyway, we picked up all this garbage. Long story short, drive back into camp. Now we got another truck bed full of garbage. And Tom's car and tent were over here on the left-hand side. And I put my tent back up in the exact same place, overlooking the canyon. And we had nice dinner, had jokes. Tom sings around the campfire. We had a great time. And then we all went to bed. And Christy fell asleep immediately again. But I sit up and I have the window open. So I'm looking out over the canyon because there was a beautiful full moon that night. And I'm sitting and I see a shadow coming up. And I thought, oh, no. Okay, here we go. You just steel yourself. Here we go. What's going to happen? And it walked up to the side of my tent where I was sitting. And I go, hey, dude, no, relax. Check it out. We got another truckload full of garbage. I respect the land. I respect myself. I respect you. All is fine. I go, you know what? Tom's in camp, though. Tom wants to talk to you. Why don't you go talk to Tom? I've done this before. I send him to someone else's camp. That chick wanted to know you. Go see her. So it walked off. I heard the steps, boom, 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 over by where Tom was. And I laid into my bag. It was starting to get cold, and I just got in my bag. And I think I fell asleep because, I didn't hear anything else. Well, the next morning, when I got out of my tent, they were both awake already. And Tom says, so we had a visitor last night. And I go, yeah, did he talk to you? And he said that basically what I had surmised, this thing is pissed off. He came here for the swimmers. They're angry about the garbage, and they don't like humans. Yeah, I can see why. I told him I could relate.
Yeah.
I can totally relate.
Yeah.
Really. So that's basically this thing's whole pet peeve was the garbage on the mountain, blah, blah, blah. He wanted us out. But we weren't contributing. We were helping. Both times, luckily, that he found us, we had a whole truckload of garbage.
Right.
I don't know what this thing really might have wanted to do if we'd had a messy camp and there was garbage all over the place.
Right. Or if you'd been actively like throwing stuff out of the back of the truck or something.
Right. I think we lucked out that we were doing good as opposed to what he hated.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure how it would have turned out otherwise. But
that when you talk to, I use Rod from Lodge Tales all the time. He's from the Blackfoot tribe.
Yeah.
And, it's in their beliefs or whatever stories that the Sasquatch, that they want you to go out and respect the land and enjoy the land. But it's all about the respect.
Yes. For all things.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think a lot of times the stories that I've heard, when you have an interaction with these things, a lot of times it's just you out there being natural, not going out actually hunting them.
Right.
And when I say hunting, looking for them. And just, being at one with the woods, I think that's when you're going to have more interaction with these things.
Yeah. And I don't know how people say, well, we're going to go out tonight squatching. Well, settle down for 2 weeks. Let them get to know you. Let them know who you are and what you stand for. And like I said, they don't like everybody. I've witnessed this.
Yeah. Well, Kathi, we've been going for about an hour and a half. And I feel like you have a lot more to tell.
I know I do too. You wouldn't believe some of the things that have happened and that's why people say, how can you be so calm? I'm like, it doesn't matter if I get upset. It's still going to happen. Might as well stay calm. Yeah. See what's happening. Take it in. Write it all down. Think about it later.
Right. Right. Would you be willing to come back on?
Sure. It is easy to talk to you.
Well, good. Oh, I appreciate that. Well, let's do that. Hour and a half is about the limit for my audience. So
Doesn't seem like it's been that long, so.
I know. It was a very easy interview. I liked it. But before we wrap this one up, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your book?
Oh, it's on Amazon, and it's called My Journey into Myth and Mystery, The Search for Sasquatch. KJ Blount. You want to see? Can you see? Wait.
I'll make sure I put a graphic up. There we go. Now I can see it.
Is that better?
Yeah.
You know, this is
I'll get a graphic.
This is the first time I've ever used the camera or the microphone on my computer, so I'm still learning how to do this stuff.
Well, Kathi, I appreciate you coming on, and I know you were kind of nervous about doing a podcast, but I really appreciate you choosing me to be the first one to come on and tell your stories.
Oh, you're quite welcome. We had a great time at Beachfoot. I enjoyed talking.
Yes, we did.
To
you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, stick around. Let me wrap this up, and we'll set up the next time you can come on, okay?
Sounds good.
And if you've had a paranormal encounter, or maybe Bigfoot came up and looked in your window and held you to your seat, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. I'll talk to you later. Gotta go. And that's it for tonight. Make sure you're checking out the description on this episode for any links associated with the guest. And if you've had a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Good night, everyone.
Shadow in the pines, lurking in the dusky air. Bigfoot stomps through the woods like he don't care. Lights in the sky flash green then blue. Aliens descending with a secret or two. Whispers in the breeze, cold fingers down your spine. Ghosts in the graveyard, twisting through time. Eyes wide open in the dead of night. The myths and monsters giving one hell of a fright. Oh, Myths, Monsters, and Mullets podcast, spinning wild tales of a future and a past. Hosted by John Methencamp, fiery soul. He takes us where the wild unknown flows. Oh, Myths, Monsters, and Mullets podcast, spinning wild tales of a future and a past. Hosted by John Methencamp, fiery soul. He takes us where the wild unknown flows. Down by the bayou, you hear a raspy growl. Swamp gas glowing as the coyotes howl. A UFO